First, with President Joe Biden stepping aside, Vice President Kamala Harris is in the spotlight, and many LGBTQ plus folks are expressing concerns about her stance on their rights, on our rights. The good news, Harris has a solid track record of LGBTQ advocacy, and we're going to review it right now, me and Edward, okay? So her journey began in 2003 as San Francisco's district attorney and continued as she championed marriage equality. However, her past as a prosecutor raised concerns, especially regarding trans issues and sex work. Despite these bumps, Harris' recent actions, show a clear shift towards progressive policies. The community remains watchful but hopeful. Kamala Harris on LGBTQ, what are we all talking about? What do you think about this?
Listen, I remember her in 2004. So back then, I had just done my undergrad thesis, basically, on gay marriage, actually. The topic was hot in 2003, 2004. And we had, mayors all around the country just performing gay marriages illegally, but they were doing it because they felt like it was the right thing to do. Harris was one of the first ones, right when it became legal, that she just, called in to the county clerk and said, start performing those marriages.
And it was midnight or something,
right? Yeah, it
was
late. And then she performed a marriage herself. So I think there's no question that she is the pro-equality candidate. She is for our community. She stood by. The tell of a candidate is when they do things without people watching. Mm-hmm. And she's done things without people watching.
Yeah.
Because throughout her career, she wasn't always, she had aspirations of running for higher office, but she wasn't always running for higher office.
Yeah.
But she showed up at the parades. She showed up at the rallies and the marches, and she's been there for our community. And so it's very telling a person's heart when they do that, when the camera is really not rolling. And so she's been there. I think we have nothing to worry about. I think that with her in office, I think we'll see a brighter future. I think we'll start to see, some more national policy that protect our community.
Yeah. Kamala, she marks all the boxes for me, the fact that reproductive rights are something that cisgendered white men decide, right, is just freaking beyond me, What do you feel about, the stupid Trump attacks? This moron the other day, what did he say? He goes, and now she's black? Oh my God!
You know what? I hate the fact that people are falling for this too. Some media outlets are falling for this. You can't just make up being black. Stop. I am an Afro-Latino. I can't all of a sudden say, I'm black. I'm black. That's who I am. That's my existence. That's the life I live. Listen, you can't just all of a sudden, yes, she's tan, yes, she's fair skinned, but she's mixed, right? Mm-hmm. She's Indian, Southeast East Asian, and she's black. Yeah. Her father came from Jamaica. Do I need to educate people?
No, but you do.
Her father's ancestors came from, where else? Africa, right? Where did black people in America come from? Africa. There's no surprise. Yeah. So she grew up as a black young lady. She was a part of the Oakland when the schools were segregated. She had to be bused because she was dark. She was black. And let me remind America of the rule that we, as people of color, did not initiate. But back, 200 plus years ago, the one drop rule.
Mm-hmm. You had one drop.
Well, you had one drop. You were black. There were so many biracial kids back then who were born because of slavery, and their slave owners ended up, having sex
raping
and
slaves,
doing whatever.
Et cetera, yeah.
And it was the one drop rule. So you didn't get the white privileges. You had that one drop. They looked at your hair, they looked at your, your eyes, they looked at your nose to determine whether you're black or not. And then you're black. You didn't have the same privileges as white Americans. So don't all of a sudden say that she's Southeast Asian. She's black. She was bust because of her race, and she has a black father. Look, you look at all the photos. It is clear as day that she's had pictures with her black side of the family. She's had pictures with her East Asian side of the family. She's both of those things. That's what we call intersex. She has intersectionalities. And so it just frustrates me a lot when people start to call out people's race, and question her race. She's a black person, period. She went to Howard.
Period.
She joined
that's an HBICs.
HBCU, yes.
Yeah.
She joined all African American sororities. I will tell you this about black sororities and black fraternities. They are very strict. They have very strict standards. And one of them is being a part of the community, being a part. So, I just hate that the media has spent some time on this and questioning this woman.
Well, remember Obama?
Obama too. Like, I mean, this is just ridiculous. The reality is well, we live in America, right? The place where there's all this like melting pot, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's all this intersectionality, right? Like, I mean, I call myself an Afro Latino, right? Like, but the reality is, my grandmother was Norwegian, right? God bless her soul.
You don't get more white than that.
Like,
yeah,
hello,
but
like, so like, I mean, we all are mixed. We all have all these things in our. But I cannot deny who I am.
Yeah.
This skin color tells me who I am.
Exactly.
This skin color tells me how America judges me. And this skin color tells Kamala how America has judged her in the past.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
So I just hate it. It's nasty. It's divisive. But, you know, Trump is just placating his audience.
Yeah, that's
right?
his rule book. That's his book, right?
That's his playbook.
Yes.
But, like, it's not going anywhere. And what I love more is that all types of people are starting to like fight back against this, you know, like, and it's been led by Black women who said, "Sister, we got your back."
Listen,
44,000 women led the charge, right? Led the charge, and now we're seeing all these other subgroups like organize and mobilize for her. But these Black women said, "We got your back,"
and they were the ones who started it. And I will say again, I just got chills. Okay, Black women will save our freaking lives again. Okay, Black women will save democracy. All right, that is literally what I'm saying right here, right now. All right, they started the call, and then even the freaking white dudes started a call. Right, literally, I'm not even calling them white dudes. That's their name.
That's their name.
White dudes for Kamala. Okay. And then it was Latinos, and then it was women childless cat ladies for Kamala.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So she's got everybody excited. She got everybody amped, you know? You see all these young people being interviewed, and all of a sudden they were like, this old guy Biden, I can't relate to him. He doesn't speak to me. I'm not voting. F it. To... Okay. Yes. Now I'm in the game.
I love it. I mean, it's she has these hotties for Kamala, you know, and she had, you know, that one. What's her name? Oh my God, Megan Thee Stallion.
Oh,
right?
yes.
What I love about Megan Thee Stallion, she got a lot of critique, but like in a follow-up concert after she came out in a rally for Kamala, she said, "Listen, I'm going to tell you what Kamala stands for." And I loved it because she educated her audience. She says, here are the policies that Kamala stands for. And then she proceeded to say, now let's get hot, right? But like, she's rallied so many Gen Zers, right? And all these young people, right?
A stadium full of her freaking
people,
fans.
Her fans. And we know people love Megan Thee Stallion,
yes, they
right?
do.
Like my son loves her. Like, love her. But like, she's motivated and engaged in so many different young people and so many different audiences.
And she doesn't have to.
She doesn't have to, but she's out there doing it.
Yes.
And this is what Kamala has done for our democracy. And she's done for America. Like, she's brought in a new energy. This feels like Obama-ish in 2008. Remember the Yes We Can and, you know, the installation of hope in our democracy again. That's what Obama did in 2008. It's the same feeling, feeling. And my son, you know, he's 11, going to be 12 this year. And my nephew is 12, going to be 13. They've asked questions about this, right? They're like, we have conversations at the dinner table. We have a new rule, no technology, so no TV, no phones, but we sit down and talk. But this has been our conversation. It's been about politics.
I love that.
Like about politics. About like my son asking questions, you know? And so it's exciting time. You know, this election is going to be one of those transformational elections in our history. It's going to go down in our record books.
Yeah.
And it's exciting.
And I know that every time there's an election, we say this election is so important, right? But this one is on a whole other level, I believe, you know? I mean, it's like, it really is like, you know, Kamala says it herself, right? Do you want to look for the future or do you want to go back in time?
Yeah. I mean, it is that sort of election.
Project 2025. Edward, like I'm having fights with people on social media about that. They don't believe me that there's 900 pages of shit getting rid of OSHA, getting rid of FEMA, getting rid of the National Weather Service. We just had hurricanes here in South Florida.
No,
you know, people don't believe that this exists.
It is a blueprint for the way in which a Donald Trump presidency would be implemented. And so it is pretty clear. Even in Project 25, they have the first 180 days. And what does that look like? It is a clear blueprint. And Donald Trump himself, last year, I know he's trying to walk back from it, last year was at the Heritage Foundation, and the Heritage Foundation is the architect behind Project 2025, and 100 plus of his advisors and former staffers are part of this. He was at the Heritage Foundation telling everyone, this is going to be the blueprint for how we operate. This is going to be about our platform. So people need to take this serious, because if this man gets elected, he will actually implement this project. He will actually implement the plans in this project. And so this is really, really, really serious. And people say, well, we have a democracy and we have checks and balances. Well, we do have a system of checks and balances. However, if Donald Trump wins, I fear that he will take the Senate, he will maintain the House, and he will have the Supreme Court. So therefore, there is no balance, right?
The balance is over.
The balance is over, right? Because you typically have one of the other bodies, right? Because we have three bodies, right? The president, the executive, you have the judicial, and then you have the legislative, right? You typically have one of the bodies that's of the opposite party that can check the other party, right? We won't have that if Donald Trump wins, right? Because he already has a Supreme Court. He has a supermajority there that has just ruled in his favor, you know, time after time again. And so my fear is that this really is people need to take this election serious, because if he wins, he will win the Congress, right? And then he'll be able to do what he wants.
Yeah.
And he'll be able to implement Project 2025. And there is an ad, I love this, down in Miami Lakes, where there's an ad that's comparing him to Fidel Castro as a dictator. And I think that that's pretty accurate. And I know there's lots of criticism out there from our people, the Cubans. Yeah. I'm sure your wife's family is probably saying,
up in arms
what are you doing? Like, he's not Fidel, whatever. But it is true. And I'm not calling him a communist, but I'm calling him a dictator.
A dictator, for sure. For sure.